class. My name is Shailen Chauhan. I'm the founder and CEO of Scholarhead and .NET. I welcome to everyone in this webinar. If you can hear me, please do confirm through the chat window. I welcome to everyone in this webinar. If you... Okay, thank you for the confirmation. You can hear me. So let me tell you here, this master class is a complete hands-on session. So make sure everyone having the Visual Studio so that we can do the hands-on. So here I already shared the lab guide how to get started with this master class, and I hope if you are a .NET developer you already having the Visual Studio. So let's look at the agenda of this session. So here first we will try to understand what is the .NET 5 and .NET 6. Then I will tell you about the evolution of ASP.NET Core, how the ASP.NET Core has been evolved. Then I will talk here about what is ASP.NET Core and how the ASP.NET Core architecture looks. Then we discuss here ASP.NET Core request pipeline. Then we will do the hands-on here. So I will start initially from the theory part so that you having the complete understanding what is the ASP.NET Core and what are the various things you need to know. Because I know many people are here fresh or new to the .NET. That's why I'm going to start from scratch here. Then I will discuss here the three cornerstone of the project development. I will show you here a complete end-to-end project how can build using the ASP.NET Core with the help of recommended design patterns and the practices. So that project I will show you here. And what are the necessary things you should keep in the mind whenever you are going to build a real application? What are the necessary step you should follow? And so many people having a common question to me, I know the ASP.NET Core, but I don't know how to start a end-to-end project. Like what are the things I need to keep in the mind whenever going to work on a real project? So those steps I will show you in this session. And finally, we will discuss about what are the 7 reasons you should learn ASP.NET Core. So it's a quite interesting session you're going to have, and it's a complete hands-on. So let's get started with this session. Okay. So let us starting the introduction with me. So my name is Shailen Chauhan. I'm the founder and CEO of Scholarhead and .NET Tricks. I'm a speaker and technical consultant. I'm a 6-time Microsoft MVP. I am Microsoft certified trainer and corporate trainer. I am Microsoft Azure certified in Azure developer, in Davos engineer. I have written 14 plus ebooks on interview question and answer. I have written 400 plus articles and many videos I created. So this is about me in brief. So let's get started with the session. So first understand what is the .NET 5. So .NET 5 Microsoft introduced with the one .NET vision. Because before the .NET 5 we having the 3 different version of .NET. We having the .NET framework, we having the .NET Core, and we having the Mono, which we use for building the mobile application. But starting from the .NET 5, you have to follow only one style, or you can say you have to just use one framework for building any type of application. It can be your mobile application, it can be your desktop application, it can be your microservices based application, any type of application we can build using the .NET 5. But before that, we having the Mono for building the mobile application, we having the .NET framework for building the WPF desktop application and others application over there. And here when it is coming to the .NET 5, so starting from the .NET 5, Microsoft decided to have a common naming culture over here. Because the reason is here, before that there is a confusion always whether I should learn the .NET framework, whether I should learn the .NET core and mono. But starting from .NET 5, what they did, they club what are the best thing we having .NET framework, what are the best thing we having .NET core and mono, and they combine together. Even the same thing we having in .NET 6 as well. And you should be aware of one more thing. Every year Microsoft release a new version of .NET that will come every year in the November. So already .NET 7 in the preview, and hopefully in this year 2022 till November you will have the .NET 7 as well. Then if you're looking at the .NET 6, so .NET is a unified development platform for building the cloud-based application, for building the web-based application, desktop application, mobile application. Even you can build a game as well, IoT-based application, machine learning and AI. And if you're looking at in the .NET 6, everything they are covering. It's not only limited to the web, it's not only limited to the desktop. What are the various application model we having now .NET 6 is supporting? And these are the various tools you can use. You can use Visual Studio, you can use VS Code, you can use Visual Studio for Mac, even we can use a .NET CLI as well. So that whether you are using the Linux, Ubuntu, Windows, from anywhere you can build the .NET Core base application, or you can say the .NET 6 base application. So whenever I'm saying the .NET Core, so my intention is here to address .NET 5 and .NET 6, because .NET 5 and .NET 6 are just next version of .NET Core. Then move to the next slide here, how the ASP.NET Core has been evolved. If you will look at here, we having the active server pages. So initially Microsoft came with the classic ASP, which we can use for building the website, or you can say which we use for building the web application. Later on, Microsoft introduced the ASP.NET Web Form, and in the ASP.NET Web Form, we having the drag and drop support, we having the server controls. Using that, we build the web application. Then we having the ASP.NET MVC. So in MVC, we having 1 to 5 releases. We having the web pages, we having the web API. So these are the various version we having for MVC, web pages, and web API. So, so when it is coming to the ASP.NET Core MVC, it is a combined release of MVC, Web API, and Web Pages. It means instead of following the three different style for building the UI, for building the API, now you have to just do focus on one style for building the application. It can be your UI, it can be your API. And the latest release of the ASP.NET MVC Core is it is 6.0. So this is the way how the ASP.NET Core has been evolved from classic ASP to the ASP.NET Core MVC. So theory part we are covering quickly so that we can do the hands-on. So when it is coming to the ASP.NET Core, it is an open source and cross-platform framework which can run even on the top of .NET framework as well, but it is only for ASP.NET Core 2.2. Starting from the ASP.NET Core 3.0, they just drop the support for the .NET framework. Even it is not necessary, because if you're willing to take the advantage of .NET Core performance, .NET Core latest set of features, you should target only .NET Core. But initially the Microsoft when released the ASP.NET Core, they having the backward compatibility as well. But nowadays it is not required because .NET Core is already mature framework for building all the type of application. So it is having a built-in dependency injection. When it is coming to the request pipeline, it is lightweight, and everything is here ships through the NuGet packages. And when you're comparing the ASP.NET Core with the existing ASP.NET 4.6 base application, it can serve 2300% more requests per second as compared to the ASP.NET 4.6. So you can see here, it is having the more capability, it is having the better performance. What are the older version of ASP.NET Web Form or ASP.NET MVC5 we having here. So this is about the ASP.NET Core we having here. Now let's move to the ASP.NET Core. So if you're looking at in this picture, this is the ASP.NET Core 6 picture we having here. So you can see here ASP.NET Core 6 can be used for building the web UI using the various style. You can use here MVC pattern, you can use here Razor pages, you can use a single page application which can be built using the Angular, React and the Vue.js. Even we can use Blazor as well for building the UI. So mainly here we having the two section. One is section here for building the UI. Another section we having here for building the services. So services we can build here using the Signal R, we can build here using the Web API, we can build here using the gRPC. And all the things are sharing the common middlewares where we having routing, security, localization, caching, session, and they can be hosted on IES, Castile, and other web server over here. And these are the various extensions are available for logging, configuration, file providers, and dependency injection. So these are the core components we having here about ASP.NET Core 6. So you can see here ASP.NET Core is not only limited to the MVC and the Web API. It can be used with Blazor, it can be used with single page application like Angular and the React, and it can be used with the gRPC based services as well. You can build here. So when it is coming to the .NET 6, so .NET 6 came with few new set of features here. So we having the many new features in .NET 6. The one features here we having the minimal API that is similar to the style we follow in the JavaScript, we follow in the Node.js for building the API over there. In Visual Studio, we having a .NET Hot Reload feature where you don't need to restart the application if you're doing any change in the UI. So what are the changes you are doing in the CSHTML page? Those changes we can reflect into the browser without restarting my application. Even in performance as well, it is better than in .NET 5. And with each version of .NET, microservice constantly improving the performance. So .NET 5 was better than .NET Core 3.1. .NET 6 is better than from .NET 5. Similar with .NET 7 will have the better performance than .NET 6. So with each release, they are updating the set of API so that we having the better performance over there. Okay, so now let's move to the hands-on part. So as I said here, to get started with the .NET 6, we must have the Visual Studio 2022. So I'm already having the Visual Studio 2022 with me. So guys, please open your Visual Studio 2022. I hope everyone is having. If somebody need the lab details, I can share with you. So let me share my screen. I hope you can see my screen. I'm right. So this is the lab guide. So if you're willing to start the hands-on with ASP.NET Core, make sure you're having the Windows 10 or Windows 11 to get started with. You must have the Visual Studio 2022. You can have Community Edition, you can have the any other edition to get started with ASP.NET Core 6. Even you can use the VS Code as well. Then we having the SQL Server Management Studio. So this PDF I already shared with you when you have registered for the master class, and these are the useful link are available here. And even I shared the steps as well how can install the Visual Studio 2022, 2019 SQL Server and VS Code as well. So we are just going to use a Visual Studio 2022. Please open Visual Studio 2022, everyone. I hope you can open it because, as I said, this session is a complete hands on session where you are doing the code with me. Can you everyone confirm through the chat window how many people open the Visual Studio here? I'm waiting for your response. Okay, if the screen is not clear, please change the your video quality. There is option available to change the video quality. You can use that one. Now it is better. I just change the layout. Okay, thank you for the confirmation. So I hope everyone has opened the Visual Studio 2022. So ready to go ahead? It's not a VS Code, it's a Visual Studio. You can use Visual Studio 2019 as well if somebody don't have the 2022. But in the 2019, we having only .NET 5. We don't have the .NET 6 support. Okay, so here in the Visual Studio 2019 or 2022, whatever you have, there is option to create a new project. So let's click on create a new project option, and here you will get this screen. I hope everyone is getting this screen. Here you have to just make search for the template MVC because we are going to create here ASP.NET Core MVC application. I hope everyone is getting this one model view and controller. Okay, I will change the theme of my Visual Studio. Hold on. After creating the project, I will change it. Meanwhile, we have to create the project on the same thing. So are you finding this option? MVC template. Okay. So make sure you are selecting here ASP.NET Core Web App Model View Controller, where we having the C Sharp, Linux, Mac OS, Windows, Cloud support. So these are the options you will find out over there. So I hope everyone is having. Okay. So this is that option I'm using here, and you have to just click on this next button here simply. So just click on the next button here. I'm clicking on the next button. Then define the project name. So as the project name I'm defining here web app MVC 6. Then define the location where you're willing to save it. So I'm defining the location here. Let's say that is desktop. In my case, I'm using. So this is the way I have given the project name. I have specified the location, and this is my solution name over here. I hope everyone has done this one. Now just click on the next button here. So next button you might not be seeing on my screen because there is a video coming here, but there is a next button in the bottom right corner. Then you will get here framework. If you're having the Visual Studio 2022, you might having only .NET 6. But if you're having the Visual Studio 2019, you having here .NET Core 3.1 and .NET 5. So here I'm using the .NET 6, but you can go ahead with .NET 5 as well. That is also fine. Even if you're having the Visual Studio 2017, there you will get the .NET Core 3.1, or you will get here 2.1 also. You can go ahead with that option as well, because fundamentally the things are same, only at the project setting level the things are, you can see the project configuration level, the things are different. I hope everyone is selected this one, am I right? So we are creating here the ASP.NET Core 6 application, and it is a MVC template we are using here. So that's why we are selecting this option. And I'm not doing any authentication type, that's why it is none, because the authentication type we will implement ourselves. And we are configuring here for HTTPS, because nowadays what is happening, HTTP is not considered as a recommended protocol. HTTPS is now considered as. So I'm adding the support for HTTPS. Then click on the next button here, that is create, in the right hand side. Guys, make sure you have changed your video quality. Don't make it automatic. Make it at least 720. There is option to set the video quality in the player. Please change it. Even I'm changing my VS Code theme as well to light to blue, so that you having the more clarity. I hope you can see now in better way. I just changed the theme to the light theme. Is it better now? If you're getting only .NET framework, it means you are using the MVC file. You're not using the ASP.NET Core. You should have the ASP.NET Core one. I hope everyone has created the project. Please do confirm through the chat window how many people has created this project here. Can you confirm, please? So let me show you here what the video quality you have to mention here. If you will look at here, there is option available, this video quality. So video quality should be here 720p. It should not be auto. If you will mention the auto, you will not get the better video quality here. Make sure it is 720, like this way. Just look at my screen. I hope now you can set the video quality as well to 720p. Okay, thank you for the confirmation. So before adding the new files here, let's understand the folder structure. Let's understand the various files here. So here, if you are having the ASP.NET Core 6 base application, you will find out here mainly three folder and these two files here, app settings.json and program.cs file. So we having here models, views and controller, because we are going to follow here MVC pattern. So when it is coming to the models, so models are the domain objects in our application. And here we are going to build a presentation layer. It's a UI layer. So here we will add the presentation model. So whenever you are creating the login page, I will add here a login view model, so that what are the username and password text box I will create, I can add the validation logic inside that login view model. Similar way, I will add here user sign up model and many other model which are necessary to apply the presentation layer validation whenever we are taking the input from the end user. Then we having here view. So what are the UI you are willing to show to the end user? That UI files we will add in these folders, home folder and shared folder. So this home folder we having corresponding to this home controller. If you're looking at, this is my home controller, and corresponding to this home controller, I'm having this home folder here. So what happens in MVC? What are the controller we create? So corresponding to each controller, we having a folder inside the views, and corresponding to each controller action. Note to each action. What are the action we having here? The action mapping we do with the files. So here we having the index section. So this index section mapping we having with this index.cshtml. Similarly, we having the privacy action mapping we having to the privacy.cshtml. So in the controller, we define the presentation logic. If you will open the controller here, you will find out the code like this way. So it is a C# class, and this class is inherited by the controller class. So controller is a built-in class in ASP.NET Core MVC that is taking care of request and response handling and many other result type over here. So here we having this index action. So this index action, as I said, is mapped to this index file here. This is the index file. So what happens here in ASP.NET Core MVC, we having the routing. So routing actually we define here in this program.cs file. So if you will open the program.cs file, where you will find out the actual mapping of the controller and the action. Or you can say here, depending upon the routing, what are the route pattern you having here, we can serve our application, controller, and action. So here we don't have the direct access to this CSHTML file. Here we can only access the things through the routing. And in the routing, you have to pass first controller name and you have to pass then action name. But it is not necessary. You have to always pass first controller then action. This pattern can be changed. You can have action first, you can have controller later on. It's up to you what are the pattern you are willing to use. But ultimately, you should have at least one route to serve your application request in ASP.NET Core MVC. Even in ASP.NET MVC 5 as well, it is necessary to add one route over there. And as per this one route, we having the default value for controller is home. We having the default value for action is index. So automatically when I will run my application, it will serve my application home page through this index section. And this index section will serve this index.cshtml file where I'm having a message welcome and learn about the building the web apps with the ASP.NET Core. So this is the way we are serving the application home page as per this default route and the default value for controller and action here simply. So now let's run the application to see how it is looking. Then I will explain the other files as well. So just click on this run button. Yeah, in .NET 6 we don't have the startup.cs file because the .NET 6 is following the C Sharp 10.0. And the C Sharp 10.0 we having the top level statement. And for running the top level statement, we don't have public static void main method. We can run them directly. So that's why what are the things we having in the startup.cs file and in the program.cs file in .NET 5, in .NET Core 3.1, in .NET 6, they just removed. And now they're keeping everything at the top level directly into the program.cs file. So I hope you're getting the output like this way here. Can you confirm through the chat window you are getting the output here? In my case, I'm getting the output. Please do confirm your status. Connections thing we will define in the app setting.json. I will explain, hold on, where you will define the things. Okay, thank you for the confirmation here. So as I said here, we having the MVC pattern, so model, view, and controller. These are the three things here where we are managing the presentation logic. We will write in the controller and the UI. We will display our data. We will present here with the alpha views here and model. We having here holding the data because here we are going to have the presentation model. So what are the data we are fetching from the database and what are the things we have to display on the UI page, we will display with the alpha model here. So this is about the MVC pattern we having. Then another folder we having here ww root folder. So this folder is containing all the static files which are which you're going to use in your project. So if you will see here, we having this CSS folder where we will keep all the style sheet. We having the JS folder where we will keep all the JavaScript file, and we having the lib folder where we having the all the library like Bootstrap, jQuery validation, and others JavaScript library. So this ww root folder is a predefined folder here in ASP.NET Core, or you can say this is a default folder to serve all the static content. Apart from this folder, you cannot serve the static content. If you're willing to serve the static content from any other folder, we have to define in this program.cs file. And this ww root folder setting is done here by this app.use static files middleware. So this is a middleware through that this setting has been done so that we can serve the things over here. You can rename and delete the folder, but in that case, you have to specify in the program.cs file. Like this is the folder from where I'm going to serve my static file. So this is possible. Then we having here a properties. Inside the properties, we having the launch settings.json. So whenever you are running the application, you will find out here there are two options mainly are coming: Web App MVC6 and IS Express. So Web App MVC6 behind the scene using the .NET CLI to start your application. Even when you will start your code, there is a one command prompt automatically open. Let me show you. When I'm running my code, it is opening a command prompt window. Why it is opening? It is opening because it is using the .NET CLI. You can see this is a window it is opening here. This one, because I'm using now .NET CLI to run my application. But if you will not use this option, you will get the option here for IS Express. In the IS Express, it will not use the .NET CLI for running the application. It will use now IS Express. So now it will not open any command prompt window as it is opening here. It will run directly through the IS Express. As we having in ASP.NET web form and MVC5. You can see this is my IS Express style. So you can see I don't have any command prompt window here. It is directly coming the IS Express here simply. So I hope it makes sense. What is the meaning of this IS Express? What is the meaning of this project one? Is it clear? Now you might be thinking from where we are deciding these port. So these port number we are defining here from this launch settings.json. If you will open the launch setting.json, you will find out here two profile. One profile we having here for .NET CLI and another profile we having here for IS Express. So in the .NET CLI, these are the port number are coming. This is for HTTPS and this is the port we having for HTTP. So whenever you will use the .NET CLI, so one of the port it will use here, depending upon the HTTP and HTTPS. If you're using the IS Express, in the IS Express, it will use this port number for HTTP and this port number for HTTPS. So you might be thinking sometimes it is using this port number, sometimes it is using this port number. If you are changing here the way of running the application. So make sure you are aware of the role of this launch setting.json and how the port number is going to decide it. It is decided from this launch setting.json. And one more thing you need to understand here, when we publish our application to the cloud, to the production environment, this launch setting.json file never publish. This file only limited to the development environment. Because in the production environment, usually we host the application the port number 80. So what are the default web server you are using? It can be the Nginx, it can be the IS, it can be the Apache Tomcat. So there we use the port number 80 or we use the port number 443 if it is HTTPS. So by default it would be HTTPS for 443. For HTTP it would be port number 80 in the production environment. But in locally we are using this style. Is it clear to everyone? Please acknowledge to me if everything is clear to everyone. If you have any query regarding the folder structure, regarding the file, please do ask your query. I will answer them. Whatever the confusion, whatever the query you having, please do ask. Okay, thank you for the confirmation. And here, if you're looking at here, the home folder we having here corresponding to this home controller. But we having a one more folder that is shared folder. So what is the role of this shared folder? So this shared folder we can access from anywhere inside the application whenever I'm going to serve a view from my controller. So what are the common views we having here? What are the common files we having which we want to access anywhere in the controller? We keep inside this shared folder. If you will look at we having here underscore layout file. So this underscore layout file is a master view or you can say it is a master page where we define our application look and feel. Even if you're looking at any application, any application is a combination of three things mainly. We having here header. Let me show you the things here. Let me do one thing. Let me open here a browser. I'm opening here a browser, and let me open here a site scholarhat.com. This scholarhat.com site is built with ASP.NET Core 6. So ASP.NET Core 6 we are using here for building the website. So what we have done in this website, if you will look at it closely, it is containing mainly three sections. What are these three sections? So we having here header section. This is my header section. This is my container here, or you can say the the content section, and this is my footer section here. So how we define these three sections? So header we have defined inside a separate partial view, and we are calling on the layout page. So header we can separate here. This is the container where the content will be changed based upon the routing, and footer is always fixed in all the website. So same thing we can define here in our layout page as well. So when it is coming to the layout, so layout is containing the same thing. This is my header. So if you will see in the header, we having a link for home page, we having the link for privacy, and there is a container. And this container is containing here at the rate render body method. So what is the meaning of this render body method? This render body method is responsible to render the content depending upon the requested URL. So this render body method is responsible to render the content for this requested URL. If let's say you are requesting the home page, so it will render here this index.html content here. If you're requesting the privacy URL, it will render this privacy.cshtml content. So this content is going to coming over here, and other things are static. What are the other things are static? Like header part is as it is here. Even I can move to a separate partial view. This photo is also static here. So this is a container part which is going to be changed based upon the requested URL. I hope it is make sense now. What is the rule? What is the role of this underscore layout file? Clear? Yeah. If you are comparing it with Angular, it is similar to the router outlet. Okay, I hope underscore layout file is clear to everyone. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's how to create the section here. So just do one thing, everyone. Please do right click at the shade folder here. Are you clicking the right click? Then there is option you will get add a view. I'm clicking the right click at my shade folder here, and then use the option add view. So what we are going to do here, we are going to create a header partial view. So I'm just going to add here a header partial view. Then you will get here razor view empty. Are you getting the option razor view empty? So I'm using here razor view M2 because I'm going to create a partial view. So partial view does not contain a setting for the layout page. So that's why I'm using the empty one. Just select the first option, then click on the add button here. Then let me define my view file name as underscore header. So I'm giving the naming prefix as underscore because underscore we usually keep as a prefix with those file name which we have decided to reuse again and again, because all the views having the same extension here dot cshtml. So how you will differentiate this is my standard view, this is my partial view, or this is my layout page. So as a naming convention, we having the underscore, we having the layout, and we having the partial view. So such keyword the people usually use so that only looking at the file name they will able to understand whether it is a partial view, whether it's a layout, whether it's a other files. So the same thing I'm using here underscore header. This way. I'm just removing everything from here. And what are the underscore layout we have? There I'm having a header tag. So let me cut out this header tag code. I'm just going to cut completely and put it to the underscore header. I just put this to the underscore header. Now at the underscore layout page, I can call this header using the partial tag. I'm using here partial tag and I can call this file. I'm just calling here name equal to then file name. So file name is header underscore header. So I'm mentioning here only file name. The reason is here it is the part of the shared folder. But sometime it happens you are willing to call this underscore header file from some other folder. It can be from the home folder. So in that case, you have to mention the full path along with the file extension as well. So here you might be thinking, I have not mentioned the file extension because it is automatically understood by the Asp Net Core MVC rendering engine. It will pick up the file from the shared folder, or it will pick up the file from the folder where it is going to be called. If you are going to render any view from the home controller, it will first look into the home folder, then inside the shared folder this way. Even the similar thing we can do with the footer as well. So footer one I'm not doing here simply. We having the view import and view start file. Okay, I will explain. So I hope this is clear to now how we can create the partial view, or you can say the reusable component in your ASP.NET Core MVC. Then we having here the underscore view import file. So this underscore view import file is acting as a base view class where we are keeping all the namespaces which classes we have decided to use inside this index.cshtml, inside this privacy.cshtml. So what are the classes we have decided to use? Those namespaces we will keep adding here. So this acting just like a base class for all the views here. Then we having underscore view start where we define the default layout page, or you can say where we define the default master view for the application. So whenever you will run the application, what would be the default layout? So from here we are setting the layout property, and this layout property we can override at the view label as well. Let's say I'm not going to render this index.cshtml inside any layout. So what I can do here, I can mention here layout property. Please follow to me. I'm putting the layout as null here on index.cshtml. So what will happen here? Now index.cshtml will not be rendered inside a layout. Now let's test it. I'm running the application to check it out here. So this way I'm running it and now it will not render inside a layout. It will come as a plain. You can see. But if you will access my privacy page, so privacy one will come inside a layout that is home. It is home slash privacy this way. You can see it is coming inside a layout as per this setting, which we have defined inside this underscore view start. But here in the index.html, I have override. That's it is coming now. So please test it and do let me know. We are using here .NET 6. So I have explained these two files as well. I hope it is clear to everyone. So now we left with only one file, that is app settings.json. So here we don't have the web.config file. So where we can define the database connection string, where we can define the app setting, or you can say the app keys. So this is the place where we define the database connection string. And here we can create the setting file as per the environment. Because whenever we are building the application, we deal with many environment. We having the dev environment, we having the UAT, we having the production environment. So this app setting.json file we having for production environment. This app setting.element file we can use in the dev environment. Similar way, I can add the another JSON file as well for UAT and for staging as well. So environment specific database connection string, environment specific variables which we have decided to use, we define here as we define in the web.config and app config in the older version of ASP.NET. I hope it is clear. And here, if you already know the ASP.NET Core 3.1 and let's say 2.0, so there we having the two files, a startup.cs file and the program.cs file. But in .NET 6, we having only program.cs file, and it is following the top level statement of C Sharp 10.0, where we don't need to define the public static void main to run my C Sharp code. Because in .NET 5, or you can say till .NET 5, we need the public static void main to set up our ASP.NET Core application. Now we don't need it simply. So here you can see we having a option here to set up a builder, and here I'm adding the service dependency. If I'm looking at this file closely, this is actually having mainly two sections. This is the section 1 and this is the section 2 here. So in the section 1, we will add all the service dependency. Like we having the service dependency for entity framework, we having the service dependency for session, we having the service dependency for using the MVC. So all the service dependency we will define in this section 1. Then we having the middleware. So here in ASP.NET Core MVC, we don't have module and handler. We having the middleware. So middleware here are going to be used to intercept the request and response. So if you're willing to intercept the request for authentication, for the authorization, we can do here. You can see we having a middleware for authorization, we having a middleware for routing, because what are the requests we are making. So the request having a pattern. So we need to verify whether that request pattern is matching with the register root or not. If it is matching, then it will be processed. If it is not matching, then it will not serve over here. So we having this routing middleware, which is intercepting the request. Similar way, we having the authorization middleware, which is going to check the user authenticity, user permission. Even you can create your own custom authentication middleware, your own custom middleware as well. Whatever the custom function, what are the custom logic you are willing to run before the request execution and before the response rendering into the browser here. There is another middleware where we having for HTTPS redirection. So if let's say somebody is requesting your domain URL, let's say www.http, then scholarhead.com. But I want to redirect to the HTTPS scholarhead.com. So in that case, this middleware will do that job. It will do all the reduction of HTTP to HTTPS. And in the DAB environment, I need to show the custom exception page. So custom exception, it will show us, but in the another environment, let's say UAT and the production, it will show a common error page here. So there is option available to check the environment. So you can see here, we having a app.environment.is development. Similar way, we having the is testing as well. So we having the way to find out what environment we having here. Dev environment, testing environment, we have the production environment, and depend upon that the conditionally middleware, the conditionally the things can also be configured over here simply. I hope it makes sense. So for the .NET 5 people, for the ASP.NET Core 5 people, just think about this is a way to register your service dependency. And this is a section here for adding your middleware as we do in the startup.cs file using the configure services method and configure method. Make sense? So guys, I have explained the entire folder structure, even everything which is necessary to know to get started with further hands-on coding. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, thank you for the confirmation. And guys, the recording of this session will not available to you. Make sure you are doing the hands-on right now, because what I feel, until you will not try with me, you will not actually learn it, because there are so many videos already available on YouTube, on various platform. So from there you can learn it. But until you will not try, until you will not write the code yourself, until you will not understand it well, until you will not face the challenges, until you will not fix the bugs whatever you are facing, there is no learning. So learning means you are facing the challenges, you are fixing them, and you are doing under the guidance of a mentor, whatever you are having. So that's why it is a complete live session. So keep here and do the hands-on with me. I hope it makes sense. Okay. So we have done with this one. Now let me tell you the few fundamental things about the ASP.NET Core. So here we are going to start with, let me share a PPT with you. Hold on. So MVC, I already explained to you. Let me explain here now the other things where we having the razor. So when it is coming the razor, so razor is a markup syntax to create the dynamic web pages. Because in HTML we don't have the loops, we don't have the if statement. So if you're willing to manipulate the HTML dynamically, so we need a proper syntax. So how we can get it? We can get it here using the razor. So razor is a markup syntax, or you can say which is helping us to integrate our C# code along with the HTML markup. Then we having the routing. This is the workflow we having for routing. So whenever you are making the request, so this way routing is the first thing which is going to figure out whether the requested URL route is available or not. If it is available, then it go to the controller. Then controller executed the things with the alpha model and returning onto the view. Like this way it is working, which I have already explained to you here. Now let's jump into the tag helper. So when it is coming to create the text boxes, when it is coming to create the input control, so what is the option is available here? So there we having the tag helper. So tag helper allow us to embed our server side markup code with the HTML. And the tag helper start with ASP dash asterisk. So this is the prefix we will use here. So this example, you can see I have mentioned here ASP-section login, ASP-controller account. So it's a anchor tag. So it automatically generate the href attribute for this anchor tag depending upon the routing we have defined in the program.cs file over here. Then we having these various tag helper. Let's say we having the tag helper for the form action, label, anchor, image, text area, partial, link, cache, and many other tag helper we having here simply. So let me show you the way how these tag helper we can use to create the form input control. So just come into the Visual Studio, because as I said, it's a complete hands-on session. Theory I'm not covering much, but it is my responsibility to tell you the theory as well before starting a topic. So just do one thing quickly, just do right click at the controllers folder and here add a new controller. So there is option available, add a controller. Are you getting it? So let me add a controller here. Just do right click at the controllers folder. Then you will get the option add controller. So these are the scaffold templates are available. So you have to just select one of the scaffold template to create your controller. So I suggest you here you should start with always this empty template, because as per our requirement we can add direction, we can write the code as well. Okay, so I always start with this empty one. So just select this, click on this add button here. Then here also you will get the same template, MVC controller empty, same I'm selecting here. and my controller name is account controller because I'm going to create a login page. So this is my account controller I'm adding here. So this is the way how the account controller is coming. And now here I'm changing the action name from index to login. I just change it from index to login simply. Here we have also added. Then we having the option to add a model because ultimately I need to create a view, a login page. But login page contain the text box for username, the text box for password. So for that I will add a model. Just do right click in models folder. And here I'm adding a class with the name of login view model. So this is my login view model. Have you added the class with the name login view model? Everyone? I hope everyone added the account controller and you have just rename it the action from index to login. Am I right? Can you confirm? Guys, please keep telling your status in the chat. Okay, thank you for the confirmation. So now just add a class, a view model with the name of login view model. Click on this add button. Then in this login view model, I'm adding here property. I'm adding here a property for user name is a property. I'm adding here a password property here. This I'm adding the password property. So I'm just adding here login view model, and there we having two property, one for username, another for password. And here we will add the validation as well. So for adding the validation, let me add a namespace using system dot component model. Then we having data annotation. So here we don't have any built-in validation control, but we having some attributes. Using those, we can validate the user input on the server side as well as on the client side. So that's why I'm doing this one. So now let me decorate it with the required attribute. And here I will add the error message. So here I'm adding the error message. In the error message, I'm adding the error message. It would be here, please enter name, or you can say username. So this is the way I'm adding a error message so that the username should be required and password should be required here. Please enter password. I hope everyone has added these two properties and these error messages as well. If you need this namespace, even I'm sharing the code as well. If somebody is not able to do it, I'm sharing the code as well in the chat window. From there, you can copy and use it. So have you added the login view model? Everyone, can you confirm through the chat window if you have added this? Even the code also I shared in the chat window. Please keep telling about your status because it will help me to understand where you are right now. Okay, many people done here. Very good. Okay. So if you have completed with the login view model, now let's add here a login page. So just come inside the account controller. Now in the account controller, I will do right click here. So what I will do here, I will right click at the login action and now let me add a view. I'm going to add a view. Just to right click, there is option available, add view. So always make a habit to add a view from the controller action. Don't add a view manually by clicking the right click on this account folder. Always you have to add the view from this action. So just to right click and there is option available, add view. Then again, I'm getting the option here, razor view empty and razor view. So this time I will suggest you go ahead with the second option because I'm not creating here, sorry, partial view. I'm creating here a standard view. So that's why I'm using the second option, that is razor view here simply. Model page code I also shared in the chat window. You can use that one. Okay. I will explain why it is showing the warning on the username. Hold on. So just select the razor view option here, then click on the add button. I hope you have selected this option, everyone. Okay. So it is by default suggesting the view name exactly same as we having the action name. But you can give any name here. It is not only limited to the login view. But as a best practice, we give the same name as we having the action name so that there is no confusion to find out which action is mapped with which view. So that's why we always keep the view name exactly same as we having the action name, but you can change it. Then we having a template. Sorry. So we having here many template which are used to create the view here using the scaffolding option. So we having a scaffolding technique in ASP.NET. In Visual Studio, sorry. In Visual Studio, we having the scaffolding option, which is helping us to generate the code. It will generate the code for create page, for delete page, for edit page, for list page. So depending upon your requirement, you can use one of the template so that you can quickly generate the UI. And even whenever you are generating the UI, it will use the bootstrap by default to decorate the control, to decorate the web page, because bootstrap we use for designing the UI so that our page look like good, even it is responsive as well, so that our website is going to be rendered in different devices, whether you're opening the website in mobile phone, tablet, laptop and desktop, everywhere we can access it. So these templates are automatically clubbed with the Bootstrap CSS. So depending upon which version of .NET Core you are using, the Bootstrap version you having here. Okay. So I'm using here the option for here create, and it will use Bootstrap 5. In .NET 5 we having Bootstrap 4, but here we having the Bootstrap 5. This way I selected here, then I can use the model class. So what are the model class I created recently? I'm selecting that one. This is login view model class. I'm selecting simply. Then now click on the add button. So what I have done here, I have just defined these settings. My view name here login, template is here create, and model class is login view model. So make sure you have defined these three settings. Now you have to click on this add button. So it automatically create a folder corresponding to account controller and add a file there with the name of login. See, and you can see it using the scaffolding. So as I said, scaffolding is a code generation technique which is helping us to generate the code for create, edit, delete, and list. And guys, sometimes you might getting this error. You can see I'm also getting this error. This error is happening because it's not able to install this NuGet package, because this NuGet package is necessary to generate this code using the scaffolding. So this NuGet package you can download manually into your project. It's a only one-time activity. Even Visual Studio also install it, but sometime because of any XYZ reason, it's not able to download and install the package into the Visual Studio. So don't worry, we can install it manually as well. So just click on this add button, and I'm clicking again. I'm sure it has been installed. So when I will try the next time, it will add it. So now it is generating the code in my case. So first time it was giving the error for me. Now it is not giving, because in the first attempt it try to install this NuGet package. You can see if somebody is not able to generate the code like this way, I'm sharing this NuGet package. You can search here in this dependencies option, manage NuGet packages, and you can install it. If it is done successfully, very good. You are lucky. But if some people are not able to generate it, so don't worry. I am sharing the way how it can be done. You can search for this NuGet package in this dependencies, manage NuGet packages. Just use this option, manage NuGet packages. You will get the browse option and look for this package here and install it here. In my case, I have already installed, but you have to install it. I hope it makes sense to everyone. You able to edit it? Okay, very good. So we have done with it. So login page, if you will see, it is very smart. Visual Studio is very smart like you. It's automatically added many CSS classes here. And these classes actually coming from the bootstrap simply. So I'm just removing some UI changes so that it look good. I'm just removing this label. I'm just removing this divisible back to list, and I'm just changing this button value as login here this way. A few changes I did at the UI. I just add a back to list link. I just removed the back to list link. Sorry. I changed the button value as login. I just removed this extra heading simply. Okay. So this is the way how the UI has been generated simply. Then login page has been generated. So now what are the login page we having? This value we will submit. Now first run the application to check out. But here if you're looking in the program.cs file, it will automatically open this home controller index section. So from here, what I can do here, I can set up my startup page for my application. So let me change the startup controller as account. I'm changing the action from index to login. So what I'm doing here, I'm just mentioning here my controller name as account, action as login. This way I'm adding it simply. So here you can change the startup page for the application. Even you can add a link on the underscore header file as well. If you're not willing to change the startup thing here, you can do one thing. You can come inside the underscore header, and here I can add a ally. I'm adding a ally for my account controller here. Account, and this is my login. This is my login here. Simply. We added here ally, where I'm having the account controller and having the login action like this way. So here you can mention it. So what you did here, can you confirm through the chat window? Have you changed the startup page, or you have updated the underscore header file with the link? What you did? Can you confirm through the chat window? Okay, both changes has been done. Very good. So now let's run the application and figure out how it is working. So can see it is automatically opening the login page in my case. Can you see here? If you will click on this login button, you can see error messages are coming here automatically. It's a magic, isn't it? Do you think it is a magic? The error messages are coming. Okay. Let me explain how this magic is working. It's not a magic. I'm just kidding. So if you will look at here in this generator code, let me wrap up the things here. Okay. So here you will find out, first understand what are the markup actually generated by the tag helper here. So here you can see it automatically having this action as slash, method is here post. And if you look at the text boxes, I'm having a text box for ID username. I'm having name for username here. And here it is having some extra field as well, or you can say extra attributes as well. It is having a data well true. It is having a data well required. So these are the extra field it is actually containing. If you look at here, this is for required and this is for true here. Can somebody tell me here which attribute is responsible for sending the value of the text box to the server side? ID or name? Who will tell? Which attribute is responsible here to send the value of the input control to server side? ID or name? How many people think here ID? How many people think here name? Can you tell me through the chat window? Okay, some people are saying ID, some people are saying name, some people are saying both. Okay, okay. I think it is going to be draw. Okay, let me tell you here. Actually, when it is coming to the ID, I understand you might be from the background of ASP.NET Web Form, where we having understanding ID is responsible for sending the server control value on the server side, but it is not yet true, frankly speaking. Actually, here name is responsible for sending this input control value to the server side. ID only helping you to uniquely identify this element on the client side. Or if you're willing to do any client side manipulation using JavaScript, using the jQuery, using the any other JS library, their ID we prefer. But if you will not mention the name attribute for the text box, you will not able to submit that text box value on the server side. So always remember name is used to send the value of the text box on the server side and ID is used to do the client side manipulation for that text box using JavaScript or JavaScript library. Make sense? Okay. Then we having here, next thing is here, if you're looking at here, how the validation messages are coming. So validation messages are coming here because of these attribute data dash well. This is making its required data dash well. So you might be thinking how the error messages are coming. So data well true and data well required. So what are the error message I have defined in my model class? Same error messages has been added to my markup as well. So ASP.NET Core MVC automatically adding all these attributes because we have added their data annotation attribute. So those data annotation attribute automatically added along with the HTML markup as well. And from the markup, jQuery validation library and jQuery validation unobtrusive library will read all these error messages and validate the user input on the client side. And here these are the based upon the HTML5 data attribute. In HTML5, we having the data attribute which ignored by the browser at the time of rendering the UI. So browser will not read these attributes, it will ignore. That's why we having all the extra information using data des, then your attribute name. It can be well, it can be required, it can be any other, it's up to you. So as per the jQuery validation library, we need data des well, then specify whether it's a required or not required. It is true means it is required, then required error message, please enter username. That's it. So this is the way how it is working on the client side. And the library here, Let me explain what are the library are going to use. So here in www root folder, we having here three library: jQuery, jQuery validation, jQuery validation unobtrusive. And you might be thinking from where these libraries are coming. We have not added. Actually, we already added at the underscore. No, not the underscore layout. It is added along with the login page. Here you can see. Here this partial view we are calling underscore validation script partial. So this partial view actually containing all these two library references, which are necessary to validate the user input on the client side. So you can see we having a jQuery validate library, we having a jQuery validate unobtrusive library. So these two libraries are necessary, and these having the dependency on jQuery. So make sure you have added jQuery first, then you added these two library to validate the user input on the client side. So this is the things how it is working simply. For the client side validation here, if you will remove this section, so client side validation will not work. It start working server side. So don't worry whatever the code we have written here. Let's say whatever the are these data annotation attribute we are using. These are helping us to validate the user input on client side as well as on server side. So this is the way how the things are working for validation. I hope it makes sense to everyone. Now let me receive the value on the server side. So for receiving the value on the server side, I will create here login post method. Please guys create the login post method to receive the user input on the server side. And here I'm receiving the login view model. Login view model I'm receiving here like this way. I'm adding here missing namespace. This way I'm just receiving the value. So what is happening here? What are the form I'm submitting? That form is coming here, or you can say this form input controls values are going to map here. And who is responsible for mapping? We having the model binding. So model binding is a mechanism, or you can say model binding is a process in Asp Net Core Mvc that is responsible for binding the request values to the action label complex type, or you can say the action label receiving primary data type values here. So this way how it is coming. Simple. Have we created the post one here to do the things? Now here you can add a condition. Let's say model state dot is valid, and here we will write the code to do the things over here. So whenever you are just checking whether all the validation are going to pass or not, always use model state property. As I said here, behind the scene, we having the model binding mechanism, which is going to set this model state. And using the model state, I can figure out whether all the validation are passing or fail. So this is a server side validation. So for client side validation, we having these three library. And for server side, this is the one we having here simply. Have you added this one? Can you confirm through the chat window, everyone, if you have added? Okay, thank you for the confirmation here. Let's put here a breakpoint. I'm putting the breakpoint here. Now run the application. So this way my login page is coming. And here if you're looking at here, we having a one more thing. Method post. So guys, can you tell me one thing here? Can I make the method here get in place of post? And if I will mention here the method get, so can I get this username textbox value on the server side and password textbox value on that server side? If let's say if I change it from post to get. Can I change it? Post to get. Then can I get the value if I will change it to the get, or we cannot get the value? Tell me on the server side. I'm asking here. Okay, so many people are saying no, we cannot get. Okay, let me tell you here actually you can get it. So it's not the case if you will mention here get, I cannot send the value of this username and password text box to the server side. I can send. But in that case, the value of the username and password will expose in the URL as a query string. So username and password it will expose in the URL as a query string, and we can get it. So don't think get is not useful. Get is also useful. Even if you look at the google.com, what are the text box they having, what are the search term you're putting over there, they always make a get request, and your query string will always expose in the URL. So there are many cases where you might having a search term, where you might having a page where you have to searching the things. So there the preferred choice should be the get. But when it is coming to the data where you having some sensitive information, like you having password, you having credit card detail, you having any private information which you are not willing to expose in the URL, we always prefer the post method. But there are many cases where get is preferred. As I said, search, you are searching something, there is a get is recommended, because get is the way here for making the request faster, to retrieve the data faster as compared to post one. Clear to everyone? I hope you are learning new things. Are you learning the new things here? Can you confirm through the chat window? Okay, let me show it. Let me change the method here from post to get. By default method you will get here post. Let's say I'm changing it to the get. Okay, but whenever you are changing it to the get, so you need to do one more thing. I need to change my account controller from post. One method I'm adding, let's say for get. Let me show the get example as well. HTTP get I'm adding here, and this is my user login. And here go back to the same page, login. One method I'm having for post, one method I'm having for get. So let me show you here the get example as well. And guys, one more thing here, the use case is very important to understand. It's not about whether we are getting value from get or post. It is not important. Important is your use case. Do you know the use case or not? So use case I have given you where to use get and where to use post. Even code also I shared with you simply. Okay, now I just added this user login, and make sure you have written the view name as login, because I don't have any view with the name user login. That's why I have mentioned simply. I just change it here, and even in this login page, I mention the action name as user login instead of login. So please change this value as well. Otherwise, you will not able to post it there. If you're willing to use middleware you can create for various purpose. Let's say custom authentication, custom authorization, URL redirection. There can be the many cases. So have you added guys this user login action here and user login the account controller? Can you confirm through the chat window? Everyone, please. So I just change it here and I just change it here also. Now run the application and see. Today we will post the value using get. So I'm just passing here username. Let's say it is Mohan at the rate gmail.com. Password Mohan at the rate 1234567 8. This is the Mohan I'm using here. Then click on this login button. So password I have not changed, input type password. Okay, it should be input type password, but intent. Now just click on the login and you can see it is exposing in the URL. Can you see here? Username is also, it is sending, password also it is sending, isn't it? So using get also we can send the data on the server side. Clear to everyone? But as I said, it is not a recommended in this case because password is a sensitive information. We should always use here post, and we should all keep it here input type password as well. This is for the learning purpose. I just shown to you. I'm making it back as login again, and here recommended one is here post. That's fine. I did it. So do you have the learning about get and post now? If you have the learning, please do subscribe to Scholarhead YouTube channel so that whenever we having the such master classes in future, you will get notified, isn't it? So have you subscribed to YouTube channel? Okay, thank you. If you have subscribed, it's good. So we have done with this get and the post here, and let me show you the post example now. The get one we did. Clicking the login button, I'm passing a username at say, let's say Mohan at the rate gmail.com, password, let's say 123456. I'm passing here, click on this login button. And if you will see here, values are coming. Are you getting the value here for username as Mohan, password as 123456? So this way, how the values are coming. We are getting the values here. Even the same values we will get in get as well in post. So this is the example of get and post you need to know. Clear? So these are the fundamental things we have done about the ASP.NET Core, or you can say the foundation one, as I promised. Now let's move to the next thing that is very, very important. The ASP.NET Core request processing, which I have not covered here. So if you look at in this picture, so ASP.NET Web Form, or you can say the MVC5, we having the style of requesting like this way, where we having the dependency on the IIS web server only. So IIS was responsible there to serve the request. And there at the ASP.NET Web Form level, we having the many events which are going to be called with each page request. But in ASP.NET Core, it is not having any dependency on the IIS. Here we are using the IIS, Apache, Tomcat, Nginx, and even others also we can use. And these are actually not serving the request. They only acting here as a reverse proxy server, RP. So reverse proxy server, they are working here because internally the ASP.NET Core using the Castile web server that is responsible to serve the request and prepare the response. And what are the response it is preparing? It is returned back to the browser through this one. So here the ASP.NET Core is cross-platform. So it is not only limited to host the application on the Windows machine. You can host it on Linux as well, Ubuntu as well, and it can be any web server like Nginx, Apache Tomcat, and others as well. So this is the way how the things are working simply. So now how many people are interested to understand how to build a project? Like what are the things you need to understand whenever you are deciding to build a project? It is a very, very important topic I'm going to share with you. I know many people understand the technology, many people know the fundamental of ASP.NET Core, but they don't know what are the core concept they must know whenever they are going to start a project, or how they can earn a real world experience. Because many people having a question, I know the ASP.NET Core, I know the Angular, I know the React, but I don't have the confidence to work on a real project, or I didn't work on a real project. So how I can work on a real project, or let's say how I can earn a real experience? Do you want to know a secret? Tell me how many people want to know this secret? Do you want to earn the real world experience to work on any project? Okay. So I will explain here the three cornerstone of the project element. If a person will keep in the mind, he can build any project. It does not mean whether you are learning ASP.NET Core, Angular, or React. These tips are applicable to each technology. Okay. So just think about, there is a one project is coming into your company. So start it from scratch. Discuss is from scratch. So can you tell me why we build the software? Can you explain why we build a project? Why we are building the software? Are we just building it because I like it? Hmm. Do you think we build the project because we like, or we are doing something else? Yeah, right. You have to understand first here what are the project, what are the software you have decided to build that is going to solve a real world problem. So first understand that real world problem, because this is the context. Until you will not understand the context, you will not able to take the further decision how it is going to be happen in the real life. That is first step everyone must have, even as a project lead, as a solution architect, as a technical lead. This understanding is very, very important. If you are missing that point, you are missing the many things at the project level. So first thing is here project planning and architecture. So for that one, we need to first understand the real problem our software is going to solve. Then that problem obviously would be a part of a domain. So let's say we are going to solve a problem of shopping. So where this project come into the category, it will come this project into the category of the e-commerce domain. Or we are going to solve the problem of food delivery. So this project come to the online food delivery system. Or let's say scholar head is solving the problem of online live training. So we deliver the live training, we train the people so that they learn how to build the real application, how to the hands on. So scholar head is solving a real problem. So what we have done, we build the scholarhead.com, a learning platform we have developed over there, so that we can train the people. People are joining our training online. So ultimately we are solving a real problem. Same way, what are the software, what are the project you will build, they are designed to solve a real problem, isn't it? Then the second thing is, based upon that, we having a domain and subdomain. Domain subdomain we have decided. So scholarhead is coming the sub in the domain of edtech domain. Okay. Then we having the ecosystem. Understand the ecosystem component. If we're taking the example of, let's say, edtech domain, we having trainer, we having student, we having the sales team. So these are the component of ecosystem. Understand how the trainer work, how the student work, how the things are working. This understanding is very, very important to create the workflow. So usually business analysts understand that things over there. As a programmer, as a developer, we don't care. We only care about writing the code. But it is not a right thing, trust me. You need to understand ecosystem also perfectly. If you want to be a solution architect, if you want to be a tech lead in your company, because without understanding this one, you are not able to design it well, you are not able to architect it well. Then we decide the architecture, 3D architecture, clean architecture, microservices. So these things should be decided after understanding that ecosystem, after understanding the domain, after understanding that real world problem, how big this problem is, how much the traffic we are expecting on this website. Depending upon that, we decide the architecture, isn't it? I'm right, yes or no? Then we decide the technology. So here we are learning the ASP.NET Core. So we will use ASP.NET Core, MVC, Web API, SQL Server. Even you can use any front-end framework as well, like Angular you can use, React you can use, and where you will deploy the application to the AWS, to the Azure. So usually .NET based application we deploy on Azure. So this is the first step. If you are focusing here, many things you will understand in their project, because now you're having the clear picture, what problem I'm going to solve, what are the various components we having of this project, what are the architecture we are going to follow, what are the technology we are going to use. So obviously those technology you have to learn, you have to do the hands on over there. As we did today, we did the hands on. We today we didn't face any bug and the challenge, because we having the very basic example we did. But obviously when we will do the database operation, when we will build the such project, we face many challenges. So until you will not solve those challenges yourself, until your mentor is not helping you how to fix it, how to do it in better way, you are not actually learning. You just only watching it, just like you are watching a movie. And after watching a movie, what happens, we only remember the dialogues. I'm right. So same thing is happening when you're referring any video on YouTube, on any channel. So in the self-paced learning, what is happening, it is just like watching a movie. And after watching a movie, we only remember the dialogues. So here you will remember only the topics. You don't have the confidence to work it, to push yourself to build a real project, isn't it? After that, what is the next important point? Can somebody guess? Guys, can you tell me? What is the next important things we should keep in the mind? If I'm asking you one simple question to you, how you will describe your experience? Because many people say I'm having a 5 years experience in ASP.NET MVC, I'm having a 2 years experience in Angular, I'm having a 3 years experience in React. So what does it mean actually? Architecture we have decided, timeline, all the things we will decide. It's not any challenge. I'm asking you one question: how you will describe your experience? How you will say I'm having a Angular developer having a 5 year experience, I'm having a ASP.NET Core developer having a 3 years experience. How can say it confidently? I'm not covering the client aspect here. I'm covering only that your developer aspect. So what are the things I'm pointing out here? I'm pointing out here only from the perspective of developer, solution architect, and project lead. I'm not covering here the aspect of the client. So if you will look at your experience closely, actually it is nothing. It is a just the workflow to create in a technology. If you will practice to create many workflow, create a workflow for shopping cart, payment gateway, invoice, login, sign up, forgot password, dashboard, reports, email, perform the database operation, connect them with the SQL server, PostgreSQL, store your data in the unstructured format. So your experience is nothing. Your experience is the fundamental of a technology, and you know how to create these workflow. You know how to fix the bugs in the workflow. You know how to do them in well way. This is only your experience. After that, nothing is extra, which is actually explaining your experience. I'm right, yes or no? Because learning a technology takes only 1 year. After that, you are not learning anything in the technology. You just reusing that 1 year learning. I'm right, yes or no? I understand you did work on many projects, but in many projects, what you are doing? You are only performing the database operation. You are creating the login, sign up, invoicing, dashboard reports. Everywhere you will find out same thing you are doing technically. So this is actually your real experience. It does not mean you have did with one project, you have did with 10 projects. You having the same experience. Don't underestimate yourself. If you know how to build one end-to-end project in ASP.NET Core with all the best practices, with all the necessary workflow, you having the complete confidence to do the another project as well. It is the same way if you have did fight for one, you can do the fight for another as well. Am I right? Yes or no? So this is the second important thing. If you will implement in any technology, no one can stop you to build the project. But as a learner, we actually skip it. We always trying to figure out someone will let me know, like someone will help me to earn a real world experience. Sir, you have to build it yourself. You know how to build the project, just try to implement in the Angular, try to implement in ASP.NET One, you will get it simple. And in a project there are some people who are the core member of the team. Can you tell me the secret of the core member of the team? Are you the core member of the team? How many people are the core member of the software development team? Do you want to become a core member of the team? Do you want to know the secret of how to become a core member of a software development team? Are you ready to know that secret as well? Do you know how you can become? What is the secret I have shared here in the part one? That is the first secret here. Already one secret I shared with you. If you know these things well, this is a secret to become a core member of the team. This is that secret one. I'm sharing the secret two as well now. The next thing we having here, database tables and their relationship. Do you know what is the heart of a project? From where everything is going. So as a developer, we actually try to understand the workflow in the UI. We try to understand the code. There are very few developers are actually understand the tables and their relationship. So understand the workflow at the database tables level, not at the code level. If a person know the database table relationship well, and a person know the project planning, the problem they are going to solve, that would be the core member of the team. If you are skipping these two things, you cannot be the core member of the team, because you don't know what is the real problem we are going to solve. You are not aware of what are the tables we having, how they're connected to each other, because the entire workflow is revolving around the database tables. Because in the workflow, let's say today we having 2 pages, we having 5 controls, tomorrow we can have 3 pages, we can have, let's say, 10 controls. It can keep changing. Only one thing never change, that is database tables columns and their relationship. Their changes happens rarely, and only that person can do the changes in the database tables who having the complete understanding about the relationship, about the mapping of them, isn't it? Yes or no? So if you want to be the core member of the team, please do focus on database tables and their relationship. Do focus on to understand what real problem my software is solving. Do focus on the architecture things. Do focus on the domain and their understanding. These are the necessary things. And trust me, if you will do this one day you will be the core member of the team. It will take hardly 1 or 2 months, or you can say couple of months it will take to become a core member of the team. I hope you have got the secret. Will you apply this secret? How many people are excited to apply this secret? Give me the thumbs up. Are you willing to apply this secret? And don't tell this secret to anyone. Okay. Okay, thank you for giving the hands up. Okay, let's get started now. So now the thing is, when it is coming to the ASP.NET Core, what are the project actually I'm going to show you here? I'm going to show you here how we can implement a clean architecture in ASP.NET Core. So this is a simplified version of the clean architecture I'm showing you. It's not a complete clean architecture. I'm explaining you again, where you can have the entities, repositories, services, and UI. So here the data access logic will be right here, business logic will be right here, and UI logic will be right here. And at the center we having the entities which will map to the database over here simply. So this is the one how it is coming. So this is the way how the project architecture we having. So we having the web UI, We having the services, models, del, db and entities. So now let me use it. Let me show you the project how we can do it. So I'm already having a ready-made, I'm already having a project which actually developed by the one of the student we having at scholar head. I'm showing that student project here, how actually we build the project in our training. So what we do in the scholar head, we build the real project so that the people understand it, the people able to relate it, the people on the real world experience, so that they can work on any project. So I'm already having a project which is developed by the student. So what is the architecture? I just shown to you the same architecture we applied here. You can see we having here dull, where we having the entities this way. So it is a typical online food delivery website. Like we having the Domino's, we having the Pizza Hut. Similar to that one, we having the e-Pizza Hub, where we having the entities here, and we are using here entity framework core, and we having here repository, where we have written the data access logic to perform the authentication, placing the order, creating the shopping cart. These things we having here in the repositories. Then we having the services we have written here the business logic. This is the catalog service where we are returning the list of product here. We having the cart service where we just doing the some manipulation at the shopping cart label. It is also done as a part of the project development in the training. So we did their services here. This is my UI. So when it is coming the UI, we having here admin module and we having here user module. Because whenever you are working on a real project, we have to manage the module as well. So module, so admin related things we have added separately, and user related things we have added separately. This is the areas in ASP.NET Core MVC we added. Then we having here home controller where we are displaying the list of items which are willing to sell here. We having the payment controller for taking the payment. So we integrated a payment gateway, and we added many helpers. We added a custom authorized attribute to apply the security. We having here user accessor to return the logged in user detail. So now let's run the application so that you will understand it. So this is the way how the page look like this way. Is it looking like a real world application? What website feeling it's giving to you? Tell me. Is it looking like which website? So if you look at any Pizza Hut, let's say Domino's, they having the similar type of UI. So from here you can look at the things. So whenever you click into the add to cart, click here. It is coming the notification. Farmhouse has been added to shopping cart. Just added a Veggie Paradise. It's also added, and there is a link is coming. If you will click here, it will go to the shopping cart UI this way. Then we having here cart here. The unit price is coming from here. Quantity you can increase and decrease here. Order summary is coming. So increase the quantity. Sorry. This one is coming here. Then we having the option to check out. Click on the checkout. It is asking for the login. Let me log in here. User at the rate gmail.com, then password. Then login. So try to build such real world application so that you having the real world experience. Okay, because in the real world application you will do the same thing, isn't it? Then do checkout. Then asking for street address. I'm putting here street address, let's say street 6, locality, Noida, zip code. I'm entering the random things here. Okay. Noida. And a mobile number. Now let's continue. So it is coming to the payment gateway here. So you can see payment gateway is coming with your logo and everything. Even the same thing we having there as well. That's a payment gateway where you have to mention your card detail for taking the payment here. It's depend upon what the workflow you are going to create. Okay, in the workflow, we are forcing the user to log in, or we are forcing the user to sign up. If you're not willing to if you're not willing to force the user to sign up, you can skip it because it's just a part of the workflow. Okay, so depending upon your requirement, workflow can be changed. It's not a challenge. Then we having a card, and here we are using a Razor Pay payment gateway. So Razor Pay test card we having here. So this is for testing purpose. I'm using here one of the card here simply. So skip the saved card number, expiry date, CVV number here. Don't save and pay it. So this is the way how the payment is we are doing here. Then submit. That is processing payment has been done. So this is the way how you need to create the real things into the code, into the project. Then you will have the sense to work on any real project. Because what are the online things you are building, whether it's a EdTech project, whether it's a online bookstore, whether it's a anything you are selling online, you have to create shopping cart, you have to integrate payment gateway, you have to display the product. If you have did it with one project, same way you can did with a number of project, isn't it? So this is the way how you need to build it. And whenever you are building the application, don't build it only I'm learning it. Please follow the all the recommended design patterns and practices. So if you're looking at here, we are using here repository design pattern here. We are using here dependency injection, where we configure here in this configure dependencies. So here we added the database dependency, repository dependency, services dependency. Then we are calling in the program.cs file here. And it's not only about the design pattern, we are optimizing the application performance as well. So we are going to minify the HTML, we are going to minify the JS and the CSS. We also making the cookie secure. And this is the way how the cookie we are defining over there. And this is the cache technique we are implementing for the static file. So these are the necessary things everyone must implement whenever you are building a real project. Then we have did here error logging. So for error logging, we have added here Srilog. So Srilog is a library where we are logging the things into the file here, where we are logging the thing to the SQL server. So everything which is necessary, which is need to be done in a real project, we integrated here. So after doing this one, I'm having a complete real world experience. Now, same thing I can integrate with any real project. So this is the way how you can earn the real experience, the confidence to work on any application. Isn't it? Yes or no? So as I promised to you, I have covered everything as per the plan. So it's a 2 hour session happen now. If you have any query, any doubt regarding this one, please do ask. Only one thing I need to share with you. What are the 7 reasons you should know to learn ASP.NET Core. So reason number one is it is cross-platform, which can run on Windows, Mac, on Linux. You can build web application and the APIs. Reason number three is it's high performance, even it is 10x faster than the Node.js, even around 3x faster than Java servlet over here. Sorry, it's a 2x around, 2.5. It is open source and modular. It is modern and having the cloud support with AWS, Azure, everywhere you can use. Even older application you can also use. These are the job opportunities we having here for the .NET developer on Naukri, Indeed, Times Jobs, Glassdoor. So these are the various jobs opportunity. If you're looking for the average salary high, so this is the average salary. So this is the average salary mentioned for the software engineer. So whenever you will have the senior software engineer or tech lead, it would be more than 1 million USD per year. So depending upon the experience you having, you will get the salary here. So I have done for today's session from my end. If you have any query, any doubt, please do ask. If you still having a doubt, any query, how can be a ASP.NET Core developer? So please let us know. Please call us. We will here to help you. So number is mentioned here. Even you can write to us here. Even somebody is willing to drop any query through the chat. So you can go to you can visit to the scholarhead.com and there you can drop your query. So this is the website URL we having here. Here you can drop your queries. We would be happy to help you. So thank you everyone for joining this session. I hope it will add. You have learned many things over there. If you have any query, I'm also available for next 5 minutes. I will try to answer your queries. About the React, I'm having a session next week. There I will tell you the difference between Angular and React. Today, if you're having the query regarding the .NET, I will help you. Design button session we will do. Don't worry. Thank you, Malika, for sharing your feedback. .NET Core is a framework and .NET MVC is or you can say MVC is a style for building the web application. So when it is coming to building the web application, there we use MVC. Guys, if you will look at the Scholarhead YouTube channel, there we are adding the various tips which you will follow. You will get the help over there. If you will look at the Scholarhead channel, we added many videos here. We having the video, let's say somebody asking the difference between Angular and React. I already created a video around that. Even I mentioned the video how you can boost your productivity. Even I mentioned the video how you can learn a technology in right way. So just explore these videos. I'm sure they will help you. How you can earn the real world experience, how you can improve your productivity, how you can be a DevOps engineer, full stack .NET developer, how you can learn the cloud, what are the various top 10 services you should know in the cloud. Everything you will find out over here. I'm constantly adding the videos here. So keep following the Scholarhead. You will get the information about such webinars, such videos in future definitely. Interview question for .NET Core also. We having even a .NET is also having a YouTube channel. There I have uploaded one. Here we will upload soon. We have not changed our channel. We having both the channel. The same webinar is going on .NET X as well. Okay. Scholar had we started a new channel that is only dedicated to live training, because in the .NET X we having the .NET specific training, but in Scholar Hat we are just going to provide the training for the others technology as well. So that's why we started with the new platform. Another query, guys, do you have? Yeah, Jay, you can call to the counselor. What are the query you having? We will try to answer. Even Giridhar is also available here in the chat. If you having any query, any doubt, he will help you. So the average salary for the 10 years of experience depends upon what are the skill set you having. I am having many student at .NET Tricks or Scholar Hat. They having the 3 years experience and they're getting more than 22 lakhs. We having the many people who having the experience of 10 years, they getting the salary of 30 lakhs as well. So depending upon the skill set you having, the salary would be decided. A unit testing is also necessary, because nowadays what is happening, whatever the code we are writing, we have to write the test cases as well. So you should learn unit testing as well. Yeah, Microsoft stack is having the very good opportunity. It's not the case. You have to change the stack, because there are many companies who are looking for the full stack .NET developer. So you can go for the full stack .NET developer role and get what are the salary you are expecting. And trust me, the student who are learning with us, they're getting the things after doing the full stack .NET developer and the cloud. Avinash, for certificate, drop an email to support. They will share with you. Another query, guys, do you have? Okay, when it is coming the microservices is not the future. Microservices, the people are using right now for building the enterprise grade application. So whatever the enterprise grade application we having everywhere, you will find out they are using the microservices. Jatin, when it is coming to .NET Core and Angular, so .NET Core is server side, Angular and React we having on the client side. So we cannot compare the Angular and React with that one. Your OTP system you can build here. You need to have just SMS gateway. Through that, you can send the OTP. We can validate them simply. Blazor is also a good technology. If you're willing to build a single page application, you can go ahead with Blazor. But right now, Blazor client side having some limitation. It is only supported in the latest version of browser. If you're targeting the older browser, there you will face the challenge. But in React and Angular, we don't have such challenges over there. Okay, guys, thank you for joining today's session. Bye.